Hello there and welcome back to another edition of the Hot Lap Classic Remastered, this time taking a look at the 1996 Mazda fini RX-7 Touring X. Now, this car is a bit of a legend amongst my recording cast because this RX-7 is not what you think it is. You might think this is a standard normal FD RX-7 good looking car, should do pretty well around here. Well, this Touring X has a 4-speed automatic gearbox. Yeah, you know rotaries that like to rev high and, yeah, 4-speed automatic. I'm sure this car was an absolute treat to drive in real life and isn't the lowest valued of all the RX-7s, but we will see how it gets along. Front engine and rear wheel drive, 464 horsepower, 1,183 kilos. In fairness, around a track like this with the turbos, maybe it'll do well. We'll see. It's going to get 6 laps of the Motorsports Land track set the best time it possibly can. Our current leader is the Ford GT90, a 28.180. The Touring X is unlikely to beat that. The RX-7 normal one, 30.244, that was an RSR, which admittedly has more power than this and has a better gearbox than this. I'm not quite sure how this is going to get along. As I said, the one good thing is there's pretty much no gear changing in this because, yep, just to prove it, there you go, 4-speed automatic gearbox. Incredible. If you want a bigger laugh as well, they also offered the 4-speed automatic in the RX-8 for the first year. So for the first year you can get an automatic 4-speed RX-8. Eventually they switched over to, I think it's like one of those semi-automatic 6-speeds that were all the rage in the early 2000s, so that's what that car has, essentially an automated manual. But yeah, there was a time before that where we had RX-7s with 4-speed automatics, and it was terrible. I don't think this car ever appeared in any other Gran Turismo game. It might be in the first one. If it was in the first one, then I'm sure at least one of you has got a story of buying the Touring X in the first game because you finally had some money to buy a nice RX-7 and you accidentally bought a Touring X and it turned out it was terrible, and I feel desperately sorry for you if you did do that. Yeah. I mean, it's nice to drive because it doesn't make any power because it can't. Like, you can see the power band. This is a stage 3 turbo, I think, which means it's a bit more of a mid-range turbo, admittedly. But it can never get towards the peak power. It can never get towards redline because it's just not got the gearing to do that. The actual straight line speed on this, it's actually quite quick. Like, you can see through the speed traps, it's a quick car. You know, average for a top lap speed, 135 kilometers an hour. It's only 10 kilometers off the GT90, but that's because it's only just starting to reach the top around there. And of course, because it's a rotary engine, it makes no torque, so it can't carry that power through. It's not like the Vector, where the Vector, sure, the Vector's got a free speed, but the Vector has so much torque in it that the Vector can just sort of be carried along with that. This doesn't have that. This doesn't have the level of torque that the Vector does. And so, as a result, it just cannot compete. It's terrible. And again, like I say, please let me know down below if anyone has ever bought this car in a Gran Turismo game looking at the word Touring X and thinking, that'll be quick, that. And then they get this. It is 1.2 seconds off a standard RX-7. And that's, again, bear in mind, this has almost 500 horsepower, you know, this shouldn't be slow. But it's obviously just not, it's not there. This isn't it. This is, you know, I like driving it because it's so ridiculous, but, yeah, there you go. The quickest lap wasn't the quickest times, apparently. That's really interesting. You might be able to go quicker. In fact, yeah, maybe. About 0.2. But it is not going to get anywhere near the normal RX-7. What was it? 31.334. 31.334 will put it into 61st place. It goes between a Nissan Primera and the Toyota Corona, all of which have significantly less power than this. Rear-wheel drive cars this is comparable to. It beats the naturally aspirated 300ZX, which was one of the very first cars we had to go round. Beats the BMW 323Ci, which wasn't particularly drivable. Again, this is a nice car to drive. It's slower than the RX-7 Cabriolet, which was worse than this in every way statistically. Like I say, it's a nice car to drive. It actually drives really well, but it doesn't make any power. It can't, you know, as much as it says it has 470 odd horsepower, you can never use the 470 horsepower because it's got this transmission. And that's why I really like doing this new version of the Hot Lap Classic, where we leave the stock gearboxes in the car. Because if you upgrade this to a race gearbox, you're off to the races. You've got a normal RX-7, but as it stands, it's not very good. So, there you go. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching, and join me next time when hopefully I can drive something that has more than 4 gears. So, join me for that. Until then, farewell.